Forensic science is becoming an important aspect of the criminal justice system. Across the world, forensic investigators are being solicited to handle complicated crimes such as terrorism, corruption, illicit financial flows, as well as disinformation. Cameroon has just hosted the 7th Global Forensic Conference, where experts have merged ideas in view of a better contribution to justice from crime scenes to the courtrooms. Today, we are examining the challenges and prospects of forensic science in Cameroon and Africa. Our guests will take us through the just-ended conference and how far it will boost forensic science investigation in Cameroon and across the continent. Stay with us. My guest is a strategic leadership expert in academics, research, and consultancy. As a senior forensic expert, he has ensured that several countries in Africa create national networks of certified forensic professionals. He lectures forensic investigation and related courses in several universities in Africa and across the world. He is also charged with developing training programs for tertiary institutions. He has presented groundbreaking papers on forensic investigations in seminars, workshops, and across international conferences. He also mentors masters and PhD students in the discipline. Join me to welcome Dr. Linus Akepe. He is the African Continental Director of the International Institute of Certified Forensic Investigation Professionals. Dr. Akepe, thank you very much for talking to us.
You're welcome, Dash Media. It's a pleasure to be among you this morning.
Yeah, and let's kickstart right away with the latest. You are just from hosting the 7th Global Conference on Forensic Investigation. What were some of the highlights of it?
Yes, the 7th Global Conference of the International Institute of Certified Forensic Investigation Professionals, the IICFIP. It was a conference and also an exhibition at the same time. The conference has as its theme for this year, new perspectives in forensics in the fight against corruption, cyber terrorism, and financial crimes across countries. It started on the 18th of July, on Monday, with an opening welcome dinner. The welcome cocktail was hosted at Hotel Mount Febe, where we had to use, of course, the Cameroonian way of welcoming our colleagues and collaborators from different parts of the world. In Cameroon, we have this nature whereby when you have guests or visitors coming, we need to give them a warm welcome. And the official opening started on the 19th, Tuesday 19, at the Yaoundé Conference Center, under the patronage of Prime Minister, Head of Government. We had the opening plenary session, which started at 9 hours right up to midday. During the opening ceremony, we had speeches, a keynote address from the Drug Enforcement, the Director General of Zambian Drug Enforcement Commission, who represented the President of Zambia. We equally had Professor, the former Director General of ASTIC, who gave a keynote address. Later on in the afternoon, after the lunch break and the family pictures, we went into the technical sessions. And day one was focused on cyber security. Day two, Wednesday 20th, was purely focused on critical infrastructure protection. And on day three, the first part of the morning, we had concentration on digital transformation. And later on in the afternoon part of the day, we had the closing ceremony and the award and gala night, which started at 7 p.m.
All right, Doctor, most of the time, forensic science may not be a common concept to the man on the streets. To break it down, what is forensic science?
Forensic science or forensic investigators, these are experts who analyze complex financial information and data, bring it to the basic level that can assist the court in arriving at decisions.
All right. Now, the conference you said focused on new perspective in tackling some of these ills. When you look at the situation at the moment, how would you rate the development of financial crimes?
Yeah, financial crimes, cyber crimes, corruption, they keep rising every day with the use of new media. So there is need for us to build the capacity of people And as an institute, what we do is the government of Cameroon has already put up several agencies and structures that help in fighting all these vices. Where we come in as forensic expert or as IICFIP is to assist in building capacities. Because what we realize in Cameroon and across different countries in Africa is that the capacities of those working in these respective structures to fight or prevent these vices, they are not yet up to date with modern day technologies. So our goal is to help build their capacity and also to use digitalization. The new perspectives we are talking are new areas of digitalization. So we stress on the 5 drivers of digital transformation. We are looking at introducing issues of fintech, blockchain technology, artificial intelligence, machine learning, Internet of Things to assist in fighting and curbing these vices.
All right, you just mentioned that Cameroon has made significant strides in the fight against corruption by setting up these structures. What fundamentally is the problem which makes them not to be effective? And where does the forensic investigators come in?
I think the very first thing I want to say is that Cameroon is one of the few governments that I always say they listen. If you look at the National Development Strategy of Cameroon 2020 to 2030, the fight against corruption is one of the key objectives for us to achieve emergence. So the government knows that, and the government has captured it very clearly in the National Development Strategy of this country. Having done that, the government took a very proactive step to establish very key structures. Permit me name a few.
Yeah.
We have the National Anti-Corruption Commission in Cameroon. We have the National Agency for Information and Communication, that's ANTIC. We have the Special Criminal Court. We have the Ministry of Supreme State Audit, which is under the Presidency of the Republic. And we have all these structures which government has created. The first thing in the fight against corruption, like we say, is the tone at the top. Government has set up these structures. They are working, and Cameroon government, I must tell you also, is one of the few governments that has an e-governance strategy. They have put up all these structures, and personnel from different ministries have been put there. What we are coming in is to accompany government. Government is working.
Yeah.
We are coming to accompany them by bringing our own expertise now to boost the capacity of these workers, those already working there, boost their capacity and also bring in new technologies to assist them to be more effective and more efficient.
All right, let's go back to the conference which ended here in Yaoundé. What were some of the key resolutions that came out from it?
Yeah, one of the very first resolutions that we arrived at as participants of the conference is that the IICFIP Cameroon should be placed under the guidance of the Office of the Prime Minister or any other state institution of the same protocol. The second resolution is that there should be the creation of a digital transformation commission. The third resolution we arrived at is that they should introduce a critical infrastructure protection commission. Furthermore, participants resulted that we should have annual anti-corruption, cyber security, and critical infrastructure protection training in all relevant agencies, both private, public, and non-governmental. In addition to the annual training, we equally resolved that every ministry, Cameroon is one of the few countries whereby in every ministry we now have the anti-corruption commission. So we said certified members of the institute, that is certified forensic investigation professionals, should sit in each of these commissions and agencies. Why them? Because these are people who have been trained and they work under very strict code of ethics and conduct. So all these ministries should have external experts who will be the voice and ears of the government. And furthermore, we equally resolved that next year, in March next year, we should have a national congress for youths against cybersecurity, financial crimes, as well as corruption. We should catch them while they are young. And we're going to equally resolve that there will be a national competition that will cut across every country for young people between the ages of 8 right up to 15. This competition is going to catch them young to join their hands and their voices in the fight against corruption. Young people are very creative. We want them to use art, drawing, like what you see in Popoli, painting, sculpture, spoken words. We want to see their ideas. They should come with their creative ideas to see how we can accompany government in the fight against corruption, cyber crimes, and cyber terrorism. With this now at the end, there will be a national committee that will judge, and the winners of this competition, the first 10 winners, become ambassadors of the IICFIP. And from there now, we want some organizations as part of their corporate social responsibility to help to build what we call a multimedia digital forensic hub, whereby we'll have modern day laboratory, rooms for arts, theater, where they can come from time to time after school weekends to practice and exhibit, have new ideas. And it also be a hub whereby other investors can come and learn new ideas on how we can use technology to help drive the fight against these vices.
Now, Doctor, there's one interesting aspect of the resolutions which you named, that the IIFCIP should be placed under the control of the Prime Ministry or any other structure with the same state protocol. Why that measure?
Yeah, it is important. Like I always say, the fight against corruption, the tone at the top is very important. If leadership decides that this is the area of focus we want to go, we want to fight this, the tone at the top is very important. And also, if it's under the guidance-ship of the office of the Prime Minister and or any other state protocol with the same status, it helps to facilitate issues of budgets so that we can be able to achieve the objectives set forth every year for the country. Yep.
All right. Now, we also witnessed during the conference that there was the presence of the U.S. ambassador. What role are the diplomats playing, particularly in the development of forensics in Cameroon?
The diplomatic community or developmental partners, they are developmental partners and they accompany government in different missions. Specifically to the U.S. government, the U.S. government places good governance at all times as top of its priority. And this is something they have been doing since Cameroon established diplomatic relationship with the U.S. They provide lots of training, capacity building, equipment, exchange programs with existing structures. We all know agencies like the FBI, they are very good when it comes and have a lot of experience when it comes to investigations and training. And just recently, about 2 months ago, the U.S. Department of State just created, for the very first time in their history, the Bureau of Cyber Security and Digital Transformation. And I think this is just in addition to the voice of the people of America, the government and the State Department. We need to benefit from these structures that they have had so that our Cameroonians and Africans from different walks of life can benefit from these training facilities, and we can have exchange of technology, exchange of ideas, train the trainers programs.
All right. Now, Doctor, how can Africa build on what has transpired here in Yaoundé in a bid for various governments to step up the fight against corruption using new perspectives in forensic science?
Like we said, the resolutions that we arrived at this conference were not country-specific. Yeah. They're not specific to Cameroon alone. These are resolutions that cut across Africa, Europe. It's a global institute. So I believe the very first thing is we have built our capacity. We have started creating awareness. There was a lot of networking from players from different countries. Initially, remember what I said, it was not just a conference, but it was a conference and exhibition. So players came in from different countries. We had EFCC Nigeria that was very present, the Economic and Financial Crime Commission of Nigeria, that they are doing quite a lot. In fact, they are one of the big leaders. People leave Scotland Yard in the UK and other places to come and learn and train from EFCC. We had ANIF, our National Agency for Financial Crimes. We had the Drug Enforcement Commission of Zambia. So there was a lot of exchange of ideas, networking. So Africa is growing, and together we believe if we continue this conversation this training and programs like this, within the next 2-3 years, a lot of capacities must have been built, and we are also going to have what I call good cyber hygiene. Our people will learn how to stay safe on the web. They will learn how to protect the resources we have in our respective countries.
All right, Doctor, when I look back at the CIT Global Conference, it focused on investigative skills and tools to white-collar crimes. And now you're looking at new perspectives in forensic science to tackle these crimes. Is there a logical end that the IIFCIP is looking towards to?
Yes, we are. Our goal at the end of the day is to make sure that we try to minimize these vices. They cannot be completely eliminated, but we are putting whatever energy, strength, and resources to see that we create awareness, build capacity, and see how we can collaborate with governments, developmental partners, the media, the international NGOs to create awareness, build capacity, and with all this, we believe we are practically helping to minimize biases. And it has also created a lot of jobs, because the new jobs, what are the jobs of today?
Digital.
Digital. And
yeah.
most companies across multinationals have started having forensic department. For the sake of publicity, I will not call names, but
Yeah.
from Cameroon to Nigeria to Zambia to Slovenia and across the world, a lot of people who have been trained and who have gained this certification now work in very big multinational companies. So in effect, we are also reducing employment while building capacity and creating awareness.
The African Union has come up with the AU Digital Transformation Strategy. What is it all about?
Yeah, the African Union, like you said, they have the Agenda 2063 that they are working towards, and the world is moving very fast. We are now in the fourth industrial revolution. And for any country, just like the continent, for the continent to catch up, the African Union being that motherly, the fatherly umbrella for all our countries, cannot stay behind. The goal is to see that the 5 drivers of digital transformation are carried forward within the continent. And digitalization is just the way forward. And that is why in the resolutions and the discussions throughout this event, focus was made on these 5 drivers of digital transformation, which falls back squarely in line with the African Union agenda. For us to move our continent forward, we have to work with all relevant partners at state level, regional level. We are not only looking at the African Union, we're equally getting agencies like the United Nations Economic Commission for Africa, regional blocs like ECOWAS, SADC, COMESA, ECAS. So we are working with all of them to see that once we put our energies together, we will make Africa the continent worth living and a safe continent.
Now, as part of this digital strategy by the EU, where is the place of forensic investigation? Do you think that the African Union is opening up more to forensic science in a bid to boost the development of the strategy?
Yes, they are. And that is why you could see their support visibly present before, during, and after this conference.
Now, when you look at forensic science in Cameroon, let's talk about the training. What are the challenges pertaining to forensic science in Cameroon?
The first challenge we faced before this conference was lack of knowledge. Almost every ministry, almost every company, every parastatal, they have budgets for training. Since they had little awareness about forensics, so this was not captured in their budget of 2022. But now with the awareness and the mass publicity, the resolution, everybody now is asking. Believe me, almost every structure will have an aspect of capacity building in their 2023 budget. So we needed to start somewhere, educating the public, making them to know the needs, why these trainings are relevant. And now it's a gradual process. From now, we'll start having it. Even in our academia, most universities have started approaching us. How can we work in synergy to build short courses, certification programs, and even degree programs, so that we start catching our youth young to put them. The world is moving towards digitalization. And it is the right time for us to start building the capacities that are needed for tomorrow's economy.
Yeah. All right, Doctor, I have this other very important question about this particular discipline, forensic investigation. Most of what you have said, talks about government, the base, and so on. How are you going to reach out to the common man on the streets and make him or her to understand the place of forensic science and forensic investigations in their day-to-day activities?
I think when you saw us talking about, this conference was focused on 4 key areas. The first was the fight against white-collar crimes in general, money laundering, counter-terrorism financing, fraud, embezzlement, corruption. The second part was digital transformation and innovation. The third was critical infrastructure protection, and of course, the fight against cyber terrorism. When we talk of critical infrastructures, what are critical infrastructures? Critical infrastructures could be in healthcare services, emergency services, telecommunications, finance, you can name it. Things that affect everybody. Let me give a simple example. Almost every Cameroonian uses mobile money or orange money nowadays. Yeah. Irrespective of whether you are educated, you live in the hinterland, you live in the city, irrespective of your job, the kind of things you do.
And there are many scams there.
Yeah, and this is a critical infrastructure. We had a situation in a country like Uganda in 2019, whereby the structure almost collapsed. 23 million Ugandans were hacked. Imagine if such a situation were to happen in another country, God forbid. The country could collapse. So we are providing good cyber hygiene, teaching people on how to stay safe. How do you protect these key structures? So what we do affects everybody. Anybody that uses the internet. Whether you're going to the hospital, if you go to the bank or to a microfinance to do a transaction, it uses the internet. So energy is a very key critical infrastructure. Yeah. How do we protect these structures? That's why we are providing training, guidance, and education. Imagine in a situation whereby the energy sector is affected, how many people, everybody suffers.
At a time when we are facing fraud crises in many countries.
Exactly. So what we do touches the life of everybody. And that is why in one of our resolutions for this conference, we mentioned the creation of a critical infrastructure protection commission. Because that is what? Things that affect everybody. We need to have even information that is consumed. Cameroon is one of the few countries whereby we have to monitor whatever information comes into the country. Most youth at very tender age are exposed to information that is not very sound or good. That's why you see people, all this cyberbullying we see happening in schools. Yeah. It starts from information consumed. In some countries across the world, you cannot, for instance, open any pornographic site. There are certain contexts that cannot be watched. So these are the kind of conversations we've started putting. And like I said, I'm happy because government is you and I. We support them. We are coming to accompany them. We have a government that listens. And it falls in line with what we call a PPP, public-private partnership. So what we do touches everybody and cuts across. You could see how many young people mobilize themselves. We had over 85 what we call transformational agents. I don't want to use the word volunteers because they identify themselves with the vision and they see that together we can build and grow a nation that will provide us with the kind of security, safety, and resources we need to build.
Now, Prof, you have talked about training, you have talked about the need to protect critical infrastructure. I would like us also to look at the regulation of forensic science in Africa. How regulated is it?
Yeah, forensic investigation is a new discipline that is coming up into this, into Africa and most parts of the world. In the West, it's very advanced. That's why we have the institute. The International Institute of Certified Forensic Investigation Professionals are global leaders, first of all, in promoting excellence in investigation, in accreditation, in setting up standards and policies and regulations. They serve just like what IFAC does for the accounting profession.
Yeah.
So it's a regulatory body. We've started building various regulations that the respective countries will use to regulate, and then while working alongside other regional partners and bodies.
But now, how easy is it trying to convince the various governments to agree to that?
You could see how good and successful this event was. Cameroon being a leader in so many things, not only in football. The government of Cameroon at the highest level of government embraced it, endorsed it. Zambia was visibly present, Nigeria was visibly present, Botswana, so many countries across the world. It shows its relevance, and it shows how ready our governments in Africa are willing and ready to embrace this. South Africa is already very excited. They can't wait for August 2023 to also add their voice to this conversation.
All right. Now, let's talk about COVID, because at one point in time, the IICFIP requested that the African Union engage its experts in the fight against COVID-19. How receptive was the AU to that demand?
Yeah, during the COVID period in 2020, we wrote a white paper, which I was one of the co-founders, co-authors of that paper. Our goal was to, and is still to assist government when it comes to contact tracing. Because as investigators, as certified members of the Institute, we do a lot when it comes to due diligence and other investigations. We have the ability and the expertise to assist in contact tracing and in carrying out due diligence. Everything starts, it's a step at a time. We did the white paper, sent it to them. They have listened. The feedback may not have been as rapid as we want, but with all the conversations and even the report of this conference, which will be available by end of this week, we equally send to all relevant stakeholders. And I believe, I know in no distant time, we are going to have very fruitful MOUs signed with the African Union and other regional blocs.
Now, how beneficial could these MOUs be?
Yeah, it will be, because that's the first step of getting things started and implementing things at the grassroots. First of all, the African Union will work by decentralizing the services to the various regional blocs and down to the countries.
All right, Doctor, there's a very fundamental problem which some experts have raised, particularly in Africa. They are lamenting that forensic investigation or forensic science may face lots of difficulties in Africa because the criminal justice system is not ideal. Do you agree with that?
No, I don't agree. I'm somebody who is very positive, and I think I have a different school of thought. I think Africa is doing quite a lot. Other countries have their own challenges. A lot of people say this because they prefer watching what
the
West they show. Do you know that, for instance, there are channels that what the content which is shared to a particular audience or region is different from what they watch in their countries. Yeah. I'm of that school of thought that we should promote consumption of our local goods, be in media, whatever we discuss. These are good things happening. We need to put this out there so that Africans should start, Cameroonians, Africans should start seeing that good things happen in our countries. We have very good justice system. We have lawyers, we have magistrates, we have judges who have gone through all the ranks of studies and practice. How many of our people actually goes to the court or read papers concerning cases that have been done? Our justice system is good. It's not yet the best, but it is growing and evolving every day. And believe me, there were many people from the Justice Department who attended this training and building their capacities. And I know very well that most of our ministries of justice across the continent will have forensic skills as part of their capacity building programs. So our justice systems are evolving. They are doing quite well. We have a lot of success cases with the Special Criminal Court in Cameroon since it was created. We had over 60 student magistrates from the Advanced School of Administration and Magistracy of Cameroon, ENAM. They attended this training. They were happy. You needed to have talked to them before, during, and after the conference. They are so excited. These are the people who are going to manage our legal system tomorrow. They're already getting used to, excited about this training. So I look at the positive side of things, and we are doing quite well. Now in Cameroon, we now have the common law section. At ENAM, and all of them were there. They did not only come, but they came with even their lecturers and their trainers. So it's a very positive state signature which we need to appreciate, celebrate, and encourage.
All right, now in this vein, looking at what you have said now, how important is trust in the justice system can play in the development of forensic science, not only in Cameroon, since most people, like you said, do not really trust the justice system, or they are not informed about the justice system.
You cannot separate the legal or the justice system with forensic. They are like inseparable twin brothers. Yeah. What do we do as forensic experts or investigators? Our job is, in whatever we do, all our findings, our report, is to provide a report that will assist the court or the justice system.
Make good decisions.
Make good decisions. So when you look at the scale of justice, it's usually like this, right? Mm-hmm. Based on our report, it will make the evidence to either way to the left or way to the right. And it's based on that evidence that the justice system will pronounce judgment. So we are inseparable first cousins. We work hand in glove. So the justice systems, as much as we need the justice system, they equally need us. And they have already started building this synergy, which I believe is the first good step.
All right, now, Doctor, forensic experts in Africa, most of them work in an inadequate resourced environment. How important is research to their personal and professional development?
Research is very key in not only in forensic but in any profession. That's why among the recommendations we arrived at during this 7 Global Conference, we are moving towards partnering with state universities. To sponsor research at any level is very expensive. It's something that an individual may not be able to do adequately and sufficiently. We have some universities, let me give the example of my county, Cameroon. There are a few universities that have contacted us already, state universities that want us to collaborate, sign MOUs to promote research in forensic investigation, which I feel is a very good win from what we had in this conference. So if we have that, the government, through the Ministry of Higher Education and through other sources, developmental partners, do have resources kept for the promotion of research. And I think we can make this effective and efficient in the continent by partnering with public universities, since the university is usually the center for research. Yeah.
All right, Prof. Now, there's this question which so many people have been dangling about. How expensive is forensic science, getting a forensic expert to work on a case?
I don't think it's just the will of the people. There is nothing that is cheap. If you want to have, as an individual, if you want to study something, you need to make some sacrifices to get the required training. For companies, we always say cheap is expensive.
Yes.
Cheap is expensive. If you feel you want to rely only on maybe your internal team and you don't want to bring, when you be hit hard, then you understand what it means. A lot of companies have lost billions of CFA and dollars due to cyber attacks and hackers. So we come in to assist, we do penetration testing to see those areas where you have weaknesses and vulnerabilities. Assist you, open your eyes to know how vulnerable you are, and provide solutions and suggestions on how you can mitigate to block those holes. So it's not really expensive if you understand what you lose. And believe me, most of the organizations that we have provided training, we've done vulnerability tests, we have, they end up asking for even more, because in the long run, we save them from lots of funds that have been snatched away by these criminals. And most companies, for fear of reputation, they will not want to tell the public, the media, about what they lose. But I can tell you that before, during, and after that conference, because of the impact which we have done, a lot of organizations and individuals are in touch with us. First of all, to protect their system, to save their official sites, be it social media platforms and websites, and to train their personnel. Between yesterday and today, I've had more than 10 calls from very senior executives who have been suffering in silence. Either their Facebook accounts or their social media accounts have been hacked. So it shows that we are actually doing something which is right. And we don't only go to solve the problem, but also educate them to see why it is important to have yourself and your staff trained and protected.
Now, what should users bear in mind, cost or quality?
Quality. it's important quality, because it's good to, they say, the white man says cheap is expensive. Yeah, you should go for quality, get quality products, get quality staff, have them trained, get the right resources in terms of equipment. And one mistake we also notice across many structures within and outside the country is over trust and reliance on our IT department and IT personnel. Most senior executives just feel like anything,
IT, take charge.
IT, take charge. We had companies in Cameroon, big telecom companies, I won't call the name, whereby we observed or found out that some guys in the IT department were working, they were cheating the government. Some of them were making almost 1 franc or 100 franc every day from every transaction from that company. So they were stealing billions from the company. Because we don't know, we need to bring in external partners. And I'm glad Cameroon, like I said again, is a wonderful country. We have a great government. From January this year, COBAC instituted a new law in Cameroon whereby cyber security audit is compulsory for all financial institutions. They have started that, and we are there. We are foot soldiers to accompany government in establishing this policy. We have the competence, we have the manpower that can go right in to save. Because again, finance sector is a critical infrastructure. These are people's money, and we have to protect our citizens. And among the recommendations we made, which COBAC is already putting in place, we have to watch and limit the trust and the confidence given to people managing our IT infrastructures and systems.
So it's important now for others also to get involved, so that there will be more checks and balances.
Of course, because what the statutory auditors do, be it the Big Fours and all the external auditors, that is not part of the engagement letter when they come to do their annual audit. That's why you see companies have been audited year in, year out. But a lot of vulnerabilities still exist. Yes. Because they made it very clear when they are in their engagement letter, that is not what they're coming to do. They're coming to check compliance. But now, with us coming in now as forensic experts, forensic investigators, and coming in with all this cyber security component of it, it will help to make the system more secured and avoid some of this embarrassment.
Now, Doctor, how can experts overcome data challenges in forensic investigations?
Yeah, in one of the SIP plenary session we had, it was focused on Internet of Things, privacy, and big data. That is the new economy where we are moving into, and that is why we noticed this, we foresaw it, and that's why the SIP plenary session was focused on IoT, Internet of Things, privacy, and big data. A lot of data is being generated nowadays, and in a country like Cameroon, we have Antique. Antique is doing quite a lot. The government has put up all this, and with respect to the challenges, again, I'll always drive towards the point of capacity building. We need to train our people. We need to give them this new knowledge. We need to have capacity building. When I mentioned during the conference that one thing, this certificate, once you are certified as a forensic investigator, you are obliged to do what we call continuous professional development courses every year. And you have a minimum of 96 credit hours. We are constantly researching. What are the new things that are coming up? What are the challenges? We have monthly CPEs that our members must take. Companies and organizations need to start implementing this kind of education and policies within their structures. People need to upgrade their knowledge, because we are in a very fast-paced world. If you don't upgrade your knowledge, if you don't study, the certificate you had, maybe when you had your degree in the university 5-10 years ago, or your advanced level, is not the same today. We have different challenges. That's why capacity building, skill self-development is very relevant and important. And you cannot do that by ignoring data. You cannot do that by ignoring privacy. Now, I always tell people that, I tell my students, the factors of production have changed. In the yesteryears, we used to talk of capital level and as part of factors of production. But nowadays, if you look at the big companies, look at the top 10 or 50 companies in the world, what do they use? Uber does not have an office in Cameroon. Neither do they even have a staff. Neither does Facebook, or WhatsApp, or Google, or Alibaba. What does that tell us? The factors of production nowadays are data, technology, leverage. That is where it is. What are they doing with the data and how can we protect it? That is why you saw me, I kept giving praises and recognition to Camtel, Cameroon Telecommunications, for what they have done. They have recently built the largest data center in this region. And we add our voice to that of the government and other structures. Let us help Camtel develop this data center so that it can help provide a lot of benefits to Cameroon, to our citizens, and also help in generating revenue. It's the only way that we can do. We cannot allow foreigners, we cannot allow other developmental partners to manage the data of our country. And I think the government is already taking proactive steps. And that was one of the resolutions arrived at this conference. Let other countries start thinking, following the example of Camtel, to have their center created, established, have Cameroonians and their
nationalize their data systems.
Their data systems, exactly.
All right, Prof. Before we go, let's look at the ethical aspects of forensic investigations. What are some of the ethical challenges that abound in the field?
Yeah, like every other profession, nothing is 100% perfect. But what we do as a professional body is that the certificates we issue or the licenses we give to our members or our practitioners last for just 1 year, subject to a lot of verifications, a lot of to-do lists, which we have to check point by point. For instance, the very first thing is, if within the course of a 12-month calendar year, did the member or this said practitioner meet the required CPD credits? If yes, did this member have any issues related to ethical lapses, either professionally or outside the course of the assignment? If you have those, a certificate will be withdrawn because the certificate belongs to the institute and not to the individual. So we are very strict. After going through the training, before you are licensed to practice as a professional within a calendar year, we have a lot of checklists, and they take oath to be able to practice, because if you do whatever that is against the code and ethics of the profession, that certificate is withdrawn.
All right, Doctor, let's end with the lighter part of the conference, which of course the award ceremony. What was the purpose for this award ceremony, and what do you think it has achieved?
I think in the fight against fraud and corruption and cyber security, all this, I always say, I personally am of that philosophy that naming and shaming is the most effective way of fighting corruption. If somebody does something that is bad, identify the person, put it there, and call it straight to the point. You did this and this. And now, if there are also people who have been making significant contributions in different areas of the profession, individuals, agencies, governments, media houses. So the joy was to recognize those who have been making significant contributions, and also to encourage them. Once we identify, recognize, and encourage them, it equally motivates others to want to be like them. That is why we brought the aspects of awards, to recognize, celebrate them, and help them to be, when they share their stories, it inspires others. That is why we capture the stories. We did not just give awards. We made the citations of each award stating clearly why X received a particular award.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much, Dr. Linus Akepe. It was a pleasure having you on this edition of the program.
Welcome. It's a pleasure, and always look forward to being with Dash Media. And Dash Media is among the few media houses that received an award this year. And what was the award received? Inclusion, Diversity and Inclusion Employer of the Year. In Cameroon, if you look at the workforce, I was very impressed when I visited Africa, Dashako Holding Africa in Douala. From the gate right through to the chief executive's office, you could see a very vibrant, young set of Cameroonians or Africans. Youthful, energetic, good work ethics, kept across the staff strength, kept across every region of the country, irrespective of race, religion, political affiliation, or wherever. To me, That is something very good and worth celebrating. And we believe if other organizations, other institutions start following an example like what Dash has done, he has created a lot of jobs in this country, and he keeps doing. And it's one of those few companies that believe in the ability of capacity building, training the staffs, give them opportunity. The last time they were in Italy with the whole team from Dash Media for a training, a lot of people pay more attention on profit making, not knowing that if you build your team, give them the right motivation, empower them and give them right training, even productivity increases. So I think they deserve that award, and I hope it will be celebrated well within the group.
Thank you very much, Doctor, for that. And to you, televiewers, it was a pleasure being with you on this edition of the program In Depth. Stay with us. Programs continue on Dash Media. Bye-bye.